You lock your car, you hear the beep, you walk away. 90 minutes later, you come back, and there's nothing there. No broken glass, no alarm that ever went off, no sign anything happened, until the empty parking spot tells you everything. According to the National Insurance Crime Bureau, that happened to nearly 660,000 vehicle owners in 2025 alone. And here's the part that should actually worry you. The car you drive might already be marked as a target, not because of bad luck, but because of a specific identifiable weakness built into your vehicle's platform. Today we're counting down the 10 most stolen vehicles in America in 2025 and breaking down exactly how each one is being taken, because the method is different almost every time. Stick around to the end because I'll tell you what actually works to protect yourself. Before we get into the rankings, one important number. Vehicle theft in the US actually fell 23% in 2025 compared to 2024, landing at its lowest level in decades, according to NICB data. That's genuinely good news, but lowest in decades still means a car is stolen somewhere in this country roughly every 48 seconds. So this isn't a story about a crime wave, it's a story about which specific cars are still falling through the cracks and why. Starting at number 10, the Nissan Altima, with 8,445 reported thefts in 2025. The Altima isn't on this list because it's exotic or valuable. It's on this list because there are millions of them on American roads, and a large share of the fifth-generation cars, built roughly from 2013 to 2018, use key fob security that's been thoroughly studied by the theft community. Here's how that vulnerability generally works, because you'll hear a version of it again on this list. Your key fob talks to your car using a rolling code, a security code that changes every time you press the button, so it can't simply be copied. The problem is that interception devices exist that can capture that exchange, work out the next valid code, and clone it. No broken window, no forced entry, no alarm. To the car's own systems, it just looks like someone used a legitimate key. Number 9, the Honda CR-V, 9,809 reported thefts. And the CR-V is interesting because it splits into two very different stories depending on the generation. Fourth-generation CR-Vs, roughly 2012 to 2016, see the same kind of key cloning vulnerability we just covered with the Altima. But fifth- and sixth-generation CR-Vs, 2017 onward, face a completely different problem tied to how much driver assistance hardware they carry. Forward radar units, blind spot sensors, lane keep cameras. These parts are expensive to replace through a dealer and surprisingly easy to resell. Insure-A-Fee and other industry reporting have noted police in New York specifically warning CR-V owners about reprogramming tools being used to generate duplicate key fobs without triggering the alarm. In some cases, what gets taken isn't the whole car, it's the sensor module, removed quickly, leaving you with a fault code on your dash and a repair bill rather than a missing vehicle.
Number 8, the Toyota Camry, 9,833 thefts in 2025. The Camry's exposure centers on the 8th-generation XV70 platform, sold from roughly 2018 through 2024. This is where law enforcement has flagged what's sometimes called key emulator theft. Handheld devices, professional grade, designed to intercept and replicate the signal exchange between a fob and a vehicle's keyless system. These tools aren't cheap, and they're treated by the people using them less like gadgets and more like business equipment. Autoblog reports Toyota has acknowledged the issue and is testing additional anti-theft technology for future rollout. The 2025 Camry's move to an all-hybrid lineup came with updated key architecture, but every XV70 already on the road still carries the older system. Number 7, and a real shift in the kind of crime we're talking about, the Ford F-150 with 10,102 reported thefts. This isn't primarily about hot wiring or cloning fobs, it's about parts. A power boost tailgate, LED headlight assemblies, a catalytic converter. Across 4 wheels and a tailgate, that's a meaningful payout, fast, in a single parking spot. Worth noting, Autoblog reports the F-150 was once the single most stolen vehicle in the country, and thefts have dropped sharply since Ford rolled out a security app letting owners remotely immobilize the truck, a real example of manufacturer response actually working. Older trucks without that protection remain the ones most exposed, often to organized multi-person crews working with battery tools who can strip a truck in under 2 minutes and leave it sitting on blocks.
Number 6, the Kia Optima. 11,521 thefts in 2025, despite the nameplate officially ending U.S. production after 2020. This is the entry point into the story that defines most of the rest of this list. Third-generation Optimas, built roughly 2016 through 2020, were sold in the United States without a hardware engine immobilizer on base and mid-trims. Not a manufacturing defect, a cost decision, and one that was legal, because unlike the European Union, Australia, or Canada, the US has never mandated immobilizer hardware in passenger vehicles. That gap is what fueled the viral Kia Boys trend. videos showing how certain Hyundai and Kia models could be started with nothing more than a USB cable. Kia rebranded the Optima as the K5 for 2021, with immobilizer hardware finally included. But the 2016 through 2020 cars never disappeared from American roads. According to multiple 2025 reports, regulators, including the New York Attorney General's office, have pushed automakers towards software-based fixes and compensation. Meaningful progress, but software can't fully replace hardware that was never installed.
Number 5. The Honda Civic, 12,725 thefts in 2025. The Civic doesn't make this list because it's especially valuable, it makes it because it's useful. 10th-generation Civics, built roughly 2016 through 2021, share a large number of interchangeable parts, engines, transmissions, suspension components, trim, across multiple model years. That makes a stolen Civic worth more broken down than sold whole. Rather than being driven away as a complete car, it's frequently dismantled and sold off piece by piece through channels that are difficult to trace. Newer 11th-generation Civics from 2022 onward carry improved ignition security, but the sheer volume of older cars still in circulation keeps this nameplate firmly in the top 5. Number 4. The Chevrolet Silverado 1500, 4th generation, built on the T1XX platform from 2019 onward, 16,764 thefts in 2025. This one centers on a port every car in America is legally required to have, the OBD2 diagnostic port under the steering column, mandated since 1996. It exists for legitimate diagnostics and key programming by licensed locksmiths, but the same category of commercially available programming tools used by professionals can, in the wrong hands, wipe a vehicle's stored key credentials and register a new blank fob in well under a minute. GM has responded by adding a secure gateway module to newer Silverados specifically to restrict unauthorized diagnostic access, a real engineering countermeasure and one other manufacturers are watching closely. Number 3. The Hyundai Sonata, 17,787 thefts in 2025. The Sonata is squeezed from both ends of its own design history. Pre-2020, 7th-generation Sonatas carry the same missing immobilizer issue we covered with the Kia Optima. The redesigned 8th-generation DN8, launched for 2020, finally added that hardware, but its newer keyless ignition system has become a target for faster signal relay and emulation attacks. The encouraging news, confirmed across multiple 2025 and 2026 industry reports, Hyundai and Kia's combined share of national vehicle theft dropped from roughly 21% in 2023 to about 14% in 2025, largely thanks to free software security updates. Real progress, but 14% of nearly 660,000 thefts is still a very large number of cars.
Number 2. The Honda Accord, 10th generation, 2018 through 2022, 17,797 thefts in 2025. The Accord is notable because it's exposed to nearly every method on this list at once: key fob cloning on older trims, OBD port reprogramming on newer ones, and part stripping operations targeting catalytic converters and wheels that cross-reference cleanly to other Honda and Acura platforms. Multiple 2025-2026 news reports out of New York organized multi-person crews capable of hitting several vehicles a night across the city, stripping cars in under 2 minutes. The 11th generation Accord from 2023 onward brought updated security, but the 10th generation car is everywhere right now, sitting in exactly the age range organized theft operations tend to focus on. And number 1, the Hyundai Elantra, with 21,732 thefts in 2025, more than 4,000 ahead of the Accord and the most stolen vehicle in America for the 3rd year running. 6th-generation Elantras, built roughly 2017 through 2020, went out the door without hardware immobilizers on base and mid-trims, the same policy gap that defined the Optima and the early Sonata, except the Elantra sold in far greater volume, making it the single largest pool of unprotected vehicles on American roads. The 7th generation added immobilizer hardware starting in 2021, but millions of older cars never went away. Here's the contrast worth sitting with. After years of Range Rovers being targeted in the UK, Jaguar Land Rover introduced ultra-wideband smart key technology starting with the 2021 model year. Instead of measuring signal strength like a traditional fob, UWW measures the precise time it takes a radio pulse to travel between key and car, physics that's extremely difficult to spoof or relay. Reported theft rates on equipped Range Rovers dropped to a fraction of a percent afterward. The technology exists, it works, it's been proven at scale. The reason older Elantras still top this list isn't a mystery. It's the result of a market where that level of protection simply wasn't required. The good news, Elantra thefts are actually projected to fall by close to 30% year over year as Hyundai's free security updates continue rolling out. The trend line is improving, it's just starting from a very high number. None of this is random and none of it is bad luck.
Every car on this list ended up here because of a specific identifiable weakness, sometimes in the platform, sometimes in a particular generation, sometimes both. Thieves didn't get smarter overnight. They got better at finding doors that were already unlocked. If your car made this list, here's what's actually worth doing. An OBD port lock and a steering wheel lock are inexpensive and effective deterrents. If you drive a pre-2021 Hyundai or a 2016-2020 Kia, call your dealer and ask about the free security software update. It genuinely reduces risk. If you rely on a keyless fob, a Faraday pouch helps, but test it periodically by holding it near your door handle, because the shielding in cheaper pouches can degrade with daily use without any visible sign. Drop a comment and let us know. Did your car make the list? And what generation are you driving? See you in the next one.